On. Alright, I have my tub installed. And got all the new plumbing ran and capped for now. So that's the faucet, this is the shower head up here. I put in the new studs for the wall. We got 3 new studs to be able to attach our hardy board to. So the next step in the process will be to create our hardy board backing, and so that we're able to start tiling. But for this video I'm just going to try and get the hardy board installed and show you the process in doing that. On. I drilled it or screwed it with the specialty screws you have to buy when you buy the back of the board, and they're every 8 inches apart all the way down, straight line as best you can. Make sure you're in the stud, and then at the bottom I left about 1/4 of an inch, pretty much the size of that screw that's holding the tub to the wall. That gives you a little bit of gap. What you'll do is later on we'll put silicone in there, and then when we lay our first piece of tile, it'll cover all that up. And then you'll silicone the tile to the tub as well, so that no water seeps back up and in to get behind your tub. I'm going to continue installing backer board. The hardest piece will be this one over here. I had to cut out for the shower head, the faucet, and the handle. So 3 holes, luckily all in line, pretty straight. Okay, next I'm going to do the top piece to the knee wall. I'm doing this piece in 1/4 inch, as all the rest of the hardy board is 1/2 inch to match up with the thickness of our drywall, so that we have 1/2 inch drywall with 1/2 inch hardy board. There won't be any gapping or spacing. Since this is just a little piece that goes on the top and side, it's not going to matter how thick it is. So I have some extra 1/4 inch in the garage. I'm just going to use that instead. So I measure over and I get 3.5 inches, which is what a 2x4 should be. And 30 inches is the length of our tub, or my tub. So 3.5 by 30 is the exact inch measurement I would expect to get. Okay, since I know my measurement's 3.5 by 30 and 3.5 by 42, I'm going to measure out the 3.5 instead of trying to cut the 40 or the 32. Once I get my measurement on both sides, and then just use a straight edge or level to make my mark. Have my mark. There's many different ways you can score or cut this backer board. You're supposed to be able to do it with a utility knife. I never have very good luck. I usually break it, especially this thin of a piece. You can use reciprocating saws with special blades on it. I am just going to use a cut-off saw with a diamond blade. Seems to be the easiest and quickest way to cut through the board. It's going to cause a lot of dust, so I'm not in the house at this time. I'm outside. Left the garage door open just in case what I already know is going to happen. There you have it. It's not perfectly smooth. Got some jagged pieces. But for what we're doing with the mortar and cover all that up, it's not really going to be a perfect fitting. Okay, now we're just test fitting. Of course it should be a perfect fit since I measured and cut it with the cutoff wheel. Got a good fit. I'll just screw it in just like I did this every 8 inches. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this front piece here, which is 42 inches by 3.5. We'll measure it, cut it same way, and screw it in as well. Okay, just like prior, I went about every 8-10 inches on the screws. On the backer board, I have it a little bit up above the lip, about 1/4 inch. Once again, I'll silicone that. You can see I've already done this side as well. I have not done the front of it yet because I have to do the wall first. And to get that piece, I have to cut the remaining off of this wall. So it's going to be like a 2-step process. The next piece I'm going to put in is this full sheet here. Before I can do that, I have to remove some of the drywall that's currently there. And I'll be right back. Alright, I have both sheets installed on the main wall. I'm going to now measure the wall where the shower is going to be. I have 3 holes I have to cut. One for the spigot, one for the handle, and then one for the shower head. So all 3 of those will have to be cut out of this one piece of party board. First going to start by measuring across to get the same length of my tub as on the other side, which is 29.5 inches. I know my hardy board is 5 feet tall. Measure out 5 feet. You can see that it's barely going to hit the shower head. So I'm going to have to do something about that. It's going to be probably right under it. It does have to be raised a little bit. Oh yeah, it's going to be raised because it doesn't go off the bottom like I currently have it. So 5 feet. Still going to be pretty darn close. Probably just going to be cutting one hole out of the top. And then the other 2 are the only 2 I'll have to measure out. So, okay, so I just measured this screw that's holding the tub on. That's where my drywall is going to be resting. And I actually put it up there. And it's right at 1 1/8 inches with my tape measure all the way against the tub. So that's what I'm going to use as my guideline. So if I put my tape measure all the way against the tub, measure up It's right at 3 inches. So I need to go 3.5 down to 2.5 for my first hole. So I have my layout. This is roughly what my piece of hardy board is going to look like. So this hole here, 2.5 inches. The bottom, 3.5 inches at the top. And I'm going to measure up to where the handles are, or the handle will be, currently not there. Measure up. I get, wow, right at 13 and 5/8 to about 15.5. So what I did is I went into the bathroom, used my hole saw blades, and figured out which holes or size I need to cut. I have my measurements here. I know I'm going 14 inches from the right, 2.5 inches from the bottom, 3.5 inches from the top with that blade, and then I'm going 14 inches from the right, 13.5 to 15.5 inches to the top with this blade, and then all the way at the top again with the same blade I used down at the bottom. So that's what I'm going to do next, measure those out, cut them out on the hardy board itself, and hopefully I'll show you the installation next. So there's the finished piece I just cut, measured out. I did make a mistake on the video, but I didn't make a mistake when I cut my 3 holes. I needed to subtract that 1 1/8 from my measurement. So if you remember, that hole there was supposed to be 2.5 inches off the bottom and 3.5 inches. Well, once I took away the 1 1/8, you got to recalculate it and make it fit. Same thing with that hole. The hole in the top was the only one that somehow got off, which isn't a huge deal, and I had to cut it out a little bit with my saber saw. Make sure I didn't hit any of the pipes or anything. Did it very carefully. The other issue I did is I kept my clean edge on the outside, which is what I should not have done, because that's going to be covered up next to drywall anyway, so no one would know that there's a flaw in the board. Instead, my cut edge is over here, and what you end up with is this. There's a gap now, about 5 inches, 6 inches, where the board doesn't meet up all the way. It's fine, then it starts going out, goes really far out, then right back in. So we're going to have to fix that, and I'll show you what I'm going to use to fix that issue. I'm going to have to run out to the store and get one more piece of hardy board. I was 1 piece short. I only bought 3, and I need 4 to match up. I want the walls to at least match. The top, up there where that gap is, I'm just going to put green drywall, which is water related. This is the same stuff I have on the ceiling. It's the green drywall. It's a little cheaper, a little easier to work with, and that will match up with that, which is green drywall. And then I'll need a piece of green drywall for this side over here as well. So I'm going to have to run to the store, get a piece of drywall, and one more piece of backer board to finish all this up. I have one more piece for this side here, and then like I said, the gap on that side so it lines up with this point here. So I want this to be straight. My walls are crooked. This is a slope ceiling. So that's another issue, is trying to do a hardy board all the way up to the ceiling. Then I have a slope ceiling, so it'd be a lot easier to cut that out with drywall. Okay. I found an extra piece of board out in my garage, and as you can see how much the roof actually slopes. Makes that cut look worse than what it actually is due to my roof sloping upward like this. This lower point, that's a higher point. So, got that taken care of. Now all I gotta do is come over here to the side and cut as big of a piece as we can to cover all the way down the side of the wall. And then we have our last piece is this section right here, and then we'll be done. Alright, now that I got all my backer board in place, minus the green drywall that goes up to the top, I'm not worried about that right now. What I need to do next is seal up the seams where this board and this board meet, the corner joist, and it's hard to see in the camera. There's a seam right there I gotta do. And then of course over here, there's this corner seam and this seam up here. I'll make sure all that's waterproof. On this side, I really don't care about that seam, this seam as much, and of course the corner